A strong work ethic and a supportive family helped shape the future of Dan Power as he grew up in Aurora, Illinois. His parents raised 9 children in a 700-square-foot home that was built by his grandfather. An energetic and competitive boy, Dan loved sports.
I was a starting guard on the basketball team. When I got to 6th grade, all of a sudden the coach looked at me and said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Well, I'm the starting guard." He goes, "Everybody else is growing, you're not. So we don't think you have a future here." And I was crushed. But then at that point in junior high, my stepfather said, "Well, you ought to try wrestling." He said, "They have weight classes there."
When high school started, Power says he was 4 feet 10 inches tall and tipped the scales at 82 pounds. He embraced the sport of wrestling. Power became the co-captain of his high school wrestling team and gained the attention of Coach Roger Denker from the University of Central Missouri. Power accepted an invitation for a campus visit and was convinced Central was the place for him.
The education that I received from UCM it was much broader than just being in a classroom. It was all the communication skills, the psychology, all the things that go with it that have helped me do anything I wanted to do.
College is the perfect time to connect with a mentor. For Dan Power, that mentor was Coach Roger Denker, a man whose imprint remains on the Mules wrestling program to this day.
Coach Denker was more than a coach. He was just a father figure to a whole bunch of us. He had a unique way of running things. He'd never wrestled a match in his life, and yet he has probably the most impact of any individual for coaching and such in the state of Missouri.
Following UCM, Power spent 3 years teaching and coaching wrestling in Odessa, Missouri. He loved it, but his earning potential was limited, and he yearned for something more. Power became a real estate agent, earning Rookie of the Year for the Kansas City market.
I could finally afford to get married. I asked my wife, Shirley, to marry me, which, by the way, I've wrestled for, 16, 17 years. Never made a better move in my life.
Another great move happened in 1981 when Power was urged by UCM's Terry Wolf to be interviewed by Edward Jones. Following training, he was offered an opportunity to open his own branch in Hutchinson, Kansas. Knowing 2 prior individuals had failed in that location, Power accepted the opportunity and never looked back. 7 years later, Edward Jones in Hutchinson was number 2 in the country, and Power became the regional leader for the western half of Kansas.
It was a tremendous opportunity, built my leadership skills tremendously, and then that evolved into a general partnership with a multinational financial services firm. Who would have guessed it?
From coaching kids' wrestling teams to volunteering for civic organizations, service to others is an integral part of the Power family's tradition.
So one of them was Optimist Club, and the Optimist Club here in Hutchinson worked with kids for 20-some years. As far as some of the other things, I've served on a tech board. TECH is an acronym for Training and Evaluation Center of Hutchinson. And what they do is help people with physical and mental disabilities from cradle to grave. I've also enjoyed zoos all my life, so I served on the board of directors of the zoo. And I just believe that it's important to make a difference when you can.
Marcy Kaufman, Director of Membership for the Hutchinson-Reno County Chamber of Commerce, says Power's contributions are far-reaching.
Dan Power has been an amazing member of our community. I know Dan originally as a chamber ambassador. I would say Dan is a crowd favorite. Many people know him, love him. Everybody just thinks he's the best.
His volunteer work at an area zoo actually brought a new member to the Power family. Dan and Shirley welcomed a homeless bison calf to their ranch. A decade later, Norman is a fixture in Dan and Shirley's pasture. Power also found a wonderful way to employ his financial expertise by joining the UCM Foundation in 2003. He quickly advanced into a leadership role and served as president of the foundation for 3 years. Dan and Shirley are the parents of 2 adult children, Sheena and Dane. Whether it's checking in with Dane at his Hutchinson office or feeding the wildlife at a local lake with Sheena, Zara, and Milo, these active grandparents enjoy every minute. Today, Dan Power remains driven. Facing and conquering adversity is all in a day's work. Several years ago, an unexpected adversary entered Dan's life. Silently and without warning, Parkinson's disease has become a daily opponent. While this condition has literally and figuratively shaken Dan, Shirley, and their family, their lifelong devotion to fitness, nutrition, family, and faith are keeping him strong. A tremor may shake his hands or cause an occasional quiver in his voice, But Parkinson's will never shake his resolve.
Dan is solid. When he says he'll do something, it gets done. When he makes a promise, it's good. He looks strong on the outside, but his strength on the inside is immeasurable. He will hang in there when it's tough, when it seems impossible. He's a man of prayer and a man of deep faith and trust.
Power's support of his alma mater remains strong. Dan and Shirley created a scholarship in honor of her mother. Over the years, he's recruited wrestlers to the program. He and fellow alums mounted an effort to financially support the wrestling team at UCM. Power and former teammate Gary Irvin led the way in creating a scholarship in the name of their coach, mentor, and friend, Roger Denker. Power says the fund is growing and has reached 6 figures. From childhood to UCM to today, Dan Power continues to strive for personal excellence while serving and making a positive difference for others.
Dan, on behalf of everyone at the Chamber, we congratulate you on this award for the Distinguished Alumni for Service. You so deserve it, and we are so happy for you.
Well, Dan, I congratulate you. This is probably one of the greatest honors I could ever imagine a person receiving when I consider how many graduates there are, and to fathom that you are one of the distinguished alums is really, really an honor, and I can't think of anyone more deserving. I really congratulate you on this, and I am honored and proud to be Mrs. Distinguished Alumni to Dan Power.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome 2016 UCM Distinguished Alumni Award for Service winner, Dan Power.